Okay, good morning, students. In this session, we will just regard the female reproductive system of the human beings. So, as we discussed earlier, the female reproductive system consists of a pair of ovaries, and which are referred to as a primary female sex organs, and along with this the accessory structures are associated structures like a pair of oviducts, and then uterus, vagina, and external genitalia. So female external genitalia and accessory glands of the female reproductive system. So these are the structures which involved in the female reproductive system. So as we already discussed about ovaries and oviducts, so just we will recall that. So what are the ovaries? And these ovaries are the primary female sex organs in which the ovulation occurs, and these ovaries are attached to the abdominal wall by mesovarium, by a peritoneal folding mesovarium, and it is a peritoneal layer which connects the ovaries to the abdominal wall, and these paired ovaries are present in the pelvic region of the female body, and the ovaries contains when we see the structure of the ovary, so this ovary contains the different stages of follicles at different stages, and as well as the oocytes. So these oocytes from which the ovum is developed. And these oocytes also like primary oocyte, secondary oocyte, these are present, and as well as the follicles. So these follicles are present around the oocytes. So around the developing oocytes, the follicles are present, and these follicles and then oocytes, these are at different stages. These are present inside the ovary. So this region where the follicles and oocytes are present is known as cortex of the ovary. Cortex. And the innermost layer at the middle of the ovaries, so this region is known as medulla. And this medulla region which may contain loose connective tissue which enhances the ovulation process but not directly involves in the ovulation process. So this is about the ovaries, and these ovaries also performs what is the main function of ovary is ovulation, and these are also secretes the female sex hormones like progesterone. So how this progesterone is secreted from the ovaries? So here the after secondary follicles are developed, from that secondary follicles the tertiary follicles or Graafian follicles are developed. So these follicles are known as Graafian follicles. And this Graafian follicle ruptured and it releases ovum. So Graafian follicle contains fully developed ovum or matured ovum, and when the Graafian follicle walls ruptured, then this ovum is released out from the ovary. And once the ovum is released out, this Graafian follicle is developed into corpus luteum. So the next stage of Graafian follicle after ovulation is known as corpus luteum. And this corpus luteum, which is a yellow color structure, corpus luteum. This corpus luteum secretes progesterone. So, if the fertilization takes place, this corpus luteum remains in the same stage and still continuing the secretion of progesterone up to the placenta formation. So then once the placenta is formed, then the placenta starts to secrete progesterone. But if the fertilization does not take place, this corpus luteum degenerates into white colored body, which is known as corpus albicans. Corpus albicans. So Graafian follicle ruptured and releases ovum. That process is called releasing of ovum is known as ovulation, and from that Graafian follicle, ruptured Graafian follicle is developed into a yellow colored structure known as corpus luteum, and this corpus luteum secretes the progesterone hormone, which helps in the maintaining of pregnancy. And once for example, if there is no fertilization takes place, then this corpus luteum degenerates into white colored structure, which is known as corpus albicans. So this is the process what exactly takes place in the ovaries. So ovaries are performing the two main functions. One is the ovulation, releasing of ovum, and secretion of progesterone. So these are the ovary functions. And then the next structures which are associated with the female reproductive system is oviducts. Oviducts. So these are the paired tube-like structures. So a rough diagram just I will draw here. So these are the ovaries. And these small narrow tube-like structures are known as oviducts, or these are also known as fallopian tubes. Fallopian tubes. And these fallopian tubes are lined with the ciliated cells, ciliated columnar epithelial cells, and these oviducts are morphologically, that means structurally, these are divided into or differentiated into three parts. So one is this part, the starting part, which is closer to the ovaries, is known as infundibulum. Infundibulum. And the next part, so this wider part, is known as ampulla. Ampulla. And the third part, which is attached to the uterus, uterine part, is known as isthmus. Isthmus. So these are the three structures in which the fallopian tubes contains. The first part is known as infundibulum. So from this ovaries, the ovum is released into the abdominal cavity, and this is connected by the infundibulum by a finger-like, contains the finger-like projections which are known as fimbriae. So these finger-like projections are known as fimbriae. With the help of this fimbriae, this ovum is collected by the infundibulum. So now this ovum enters into the infundibulum, and due to the presence of ciliated cells inside the oviducts, this ovum moves towards the ampulla region. So this ampulla is the second part of the oviducts, and here it is a wider part, and fertilization takes place at the junction of ampulla and isthmus. So here is the junction where the ampulla is connected with the isthmus, that is the next part of the oviduct. So here the fertilization takes place, and zygote and early embryonic development takes place in the isthmus. So while moving towards the uterus, the cleavage is taking place. That means the zygote is going to divide into 8 to 32 cell space. And at this stage, it enters into the uterus. So the further development of the fetus takes place inside the uterus. So this is about the oviducts. So oviduct, it is a narrow tube-like structures which are lined by ciliated columnar epithelial cells, and this ciliated columnar epithelium helps in the movement of ovum as well as the zygote towards the uterus. And it is morphologically, it is divided into three parts. Infundibulum, the first part of the oviduct, which contains the finger-like projections called fimbriae, and it collects ovum from the abdominal cavity, then ampulla and isthmus. So this is the junction where the fertilization takes place, is the ampulla and isthmus junction. The next part of female reproductive system is uterus. Uterus. So uterus is a muscular structure, that means highly made up of the smooth muscles, and it is in the shape of inverted pear shaped. So inverted pear shaped. and this is the inverted pear shape. And the size of the uterus is in the normal female human beings. So it is about 7.5 centimeters long and 5 centimeters width. So this is the size of the uterus. And this uterine cavity, so this is known as the uterine cavity, and in this uterine cavity it is assisted for anchorage and nourishing of the developing fetus. So I told you that 8 to 32 celled stage the fetus enters into the uterus. So in this uterus the further development, so fully development of our embryo takes place inside the uterine cavity. So for that development it provides space for the developing fetus. So and it is morphologically the uterus is divided into 3 parts. So morphologically the uterus is divided into 3 parts. One is uterine fundus. The first part is fundus, and this dome shaped structure is known as fundus. And the middle part, the wider part or pear shaped part of the uterus is known as body. And the last part, the narrow part or tube-like part is known as cervix. So these are the morphologically, the uterus is divided into 3 parts. One is fundus and body, then cervix. So these 3 are the parts of the uterus, and the fundus is a dome shaped structure and which lies above the oviducts which enters into the uterus. So here is the place where the oviducts enters into the uterus, and this is the fundus region. So it is a dome shaped structure, and here the zygote undergo the cleavages, and here it first comes into the fundus region, then from the fundus it enters into the body of the uterus. And the second part is a body, and it is a main part, middle part, and it is inverted pear shape, and this body is broader towards the fundus. So it is broader towards the fundus region and narrow towards the cervix. So it is broader towards fundus and it is narrow towards cervix. And the size of the uterus is become 100 times more or 100 times larger than the normal during gestation period, and during the pregnancy period the uterus size becomes, see actually the size is 5 centimeters big, but during pregnancy time it becomes 100 times more or larger than the normal size of the uterus. And this increase in the size of the uterus is mainly for the development of the fetus which is present inside the uterus. So this normal size is actually about the 5 centimeters width and 7.5 centimeters of length. So length will be the same, but the width of the uterus becomes more large. And the next part of the uterus is cervix, and cervix is a narrow tube-like structure which is mainly lined by the stratified and keratinized epithelial cells, stratified keratinized epithelial cells. And this cervix is a narrow canal-like structure and it forms the canal. So this cervical canal plus the next part of the female reproductive system, that is vagina. So this part is a vagina. And these two structures together form birth canal. Birth canal. So this birth canal is a tube-like structure, narrow, which is formed by the fusion of cervical canal and vagina, through which the baby is expelled out during parturition. So during childbirth, it provides a passage for the delivering baby. So that forms the birth canal. And this uterine wall, so the wall of the uterus is made up of 3 layers. So wall of uterus is mainly made up of 3 layers. So what are the 3 layers? The outer membranous layer, which is known as perimetrium. And the second one is myometrium. And the third one is endometrium. The innermost layer of the uterine wall is endometrium. So this uterine wall is made up of 3 layers. The outer membranous layer. So this is the thin outer membranous layer, that is known as perimetrium. And the middle layer, it is a muscular layer, it is a outer membranous layer. And this is the middle muscular layer. So it is a thick wall which is made up of the smooth muscles, and this is the middle layer completely made up of the muscles. That smooth muscles are present in this middle layer. And the innermost layer is endometrium. Endometrium is the innermost layer, and it is a glandular layer, and it is lined by the keratinized layer with and without ciliated cells. That means the ciliated columnar epithelium and also non-ciliated columnar epithelium cells are present in this endometrium layer. So this is the endometrium layer, and this endometrium layer undergoes cyclic changes during menstrual cycle. So during the menstrual cycle, this endometrium is shed off. So as it is a characteristic feature of the mammals, so that primates, especially in the human beings, monkeys and apes, this is the characteristic feature how the endometrium is shed off. That means it undergoes the cyclic changes during menstrual cycle. And along with that, some blood vessels, because it is completely supplied with the blood vessels. So when the endometrium is going to shed off, the blood capillaries also get ruptured, and some amount of blood is also expelled out along with the endometrial wall. So these cyclic changes is a characteristic feature of the primate mammals. And if you will see that myometrium, so what is the function of myometrium is, as it consists of completely the smooth muscles and these smooth muscles provides strong contractions of the uterus. Strong contractions of the uterine wall during parturition. So during childbirth, the muscles get contracted, so which are present in the myometrium layer. So for this, the stimulus, and these are the smooth muscles. So and we know that these are the involuntary muscles, but for the contraction of these involuntary muscles also, there must be one stimulus. So the stimulus is provided by the fully developed fetus. So here the fully developed fetus gives the signals to the nervous system, and then the nervous system works on the endocrine system. That endocrine system releases oxytocin hormone, and when the oxytocin hormone is released, then the muscles of the uterine wall get started to contract. So during that strong contractions of the muscles of the uterus, then the baby is expelled out. So that process is known as parturition or childbirth. So this is the functions of the three layers of the uterus. So uterus, the main function is it provides space for the full developing embryo. So along with this developing embryo, around this developing embryo, the amniotic fluid is present. So if it is the fetus or embryo, then around this embryo, the fluid is present, and which is known as amniotic fluid. Amniotic fluid. And this amniotic fluid it protects the embryo from the mechanical shocks or physical shocks which are assisted from the outside. So then this fluid just like acts as a cushion like structure, and this amniotic fluid also contains the fetal genetic material. So this, by the collecting of this amniotic fluid, then we can justify or we can identify any genetical disorders are present, or the sex of the fetus, either it is a male or female. So that can be detected by observing this amniotic fluid. So that is present around the fetus, which protects the fetus. The next part of this female reproductive system is vagina. Vagina. So vagina is a narrow tube-like structure, and it lengths about 8 to 10 centimeters. Length about 8 to 10 centimeters long. So along with the cervix or cervical canal, it forms the birth canal. And it opens out through the external genitalia. So this is also the internal genitalia of the female reproductive system, and it opens out through the external genitalia through a aperture or opening which is known as vaginal orifice. Vaginal orifice. So vagina is opens out through the vaginal orifice, or it is known as vaginal aperture, and this vaginal orifice is partially covered by a thin membrane like structure known as hymen. vaginal orifice is partially covered by a thin membrane structure known as hymen, and this vagina opens out through the vaginal orifice, and this vaginal orifice actually forms the birth canal along with the cervical canal. And the next part is vulva. Vulva. So vulva means to wrap around. To wrap around. And this is an external genitalia of the female. And it is differentiated into two parts: outer labia, outer labia majora. Outer labia majora and inner labia minora. Outer labia majora and inner labia minora. These two are the paired structures. Paired structures. So here the vulva, or it is also known as pudendum. Pudendum. This to wrap around means the internal genitalia like vagina or cervix, these are covered by this external genitalia, and it is differentiated into two parts: outer labia majora and inner labia minora. And these two structures, the outer labia majora and inner labia minora, these two structures are covered by a fleshy fatty and which contains pubic hair, fatty skin. These two structures are covered by the fleshy fatty skin along with pubic hair, and which is known as mons pubis. So it is known as mons pubis. So the vulva are also known as pudendum. It is known as the external genitalia of the female structures, and where the vagina opens into the vulva, and there is a small flap-like structure which is known as clitoris. Clitoris. And this clitoris is a female copulatory organ. It is known as female copulatory organ. And which is differentiated into two paired structures: outer labia majora and inner labia minora, and these two again covered by the mons pubis, and this mons pubis is a fleshy fatty skin and which contains pubic hair. So this is about the female reproductive system structures. And the accessory glands, so there are three accessory glands, three different types of accessory glands are present. So in that, the first one is greater vestibular glands. Greater vestibular glands and lower vestibular glands, and a pair of mammary glands. So greater vestibular glands are also known as Bartholin glands. Bartholin's glands. And lower vestibular glands are also known as Skene's glands. Skene's glands. And these Bartholin glands are homologous to the male glands, that is bulbourethral glands. So that means that functionally and structurally these are homologous or similar to that of bulbourethral glands of the male. And these Skene glands are homologous glands to the prostate glands of male. And both the greater vestibular glands secretes the mucus like fluid into the vagina. So vagina is just like a bed with the secretions of this mucus. So and this is present just posterior to the vagina or posterior to vaginal orifice, and Skene's glands are present anterior to the vagina. Anterior to the vagina. So these two are the posterior to vagina. So that is greater vestibular glands, and lower vestibular glands or Skene's glands are located just below the or just anterior to the vaginal orifice. And the Skene's glands also produce mucus or fluid when it stimulates. On stimulation only it secretes the fluid like fluid substance, and which makes the vagina to wet. And this mucus by the greater vestibular glands are secreted always. It helps in the lubrication of vagina. So these are the accessory glands, and in the next class we will study the mammary glands.